Well, joining me in studio to unpack and analyze some of the stories that we have on the show for you today, I have Mr. Alvin Govinda from ACDP Youth Foundation, and our political analyst, Mr. Tsepo Khadima, is in studio again today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Very controversial there from the president, saying it's unconscionable for black people to even think of voting for the Democratic Alliance, let alone lead the very party. Your comments on that, Mr. Khadima?
I'll be interested to hear what
the
politician here, Mr. Governor,
let's hear what Mr. Governor has to say, then perhaps you can comment on that.
Not a problem, yeah. Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to greet everybody in Jesus' name. Okay, with Jacob Zuma mentioning that the African people should not vote for the DA, I think a political party shouldn't be race dependent. Race, gender, or even where you're coming from. Like, for example, the African Christian Democratic Party. We are here for everyone. It's not a matter of race, it's not a matter of what religion. Christian might be in our name. That's because we're based on biblical principles. We're not a church, as I mentioned before. So the aspect of a party being restrictive to who has to vote for them, I think that's unacceptable for once. And I think, you know what, let the people decide.
Your definition of an African, Mr. Governor, is it just black people who should be defined as Africans? Or?
I'm an African as well.
Right.
Yes, I was born in South Africa. My dad was born in South Africa. My granddad was born in South Africa. So I would say everyone is African.
Absolutely. Mr. Khadima, should a vote still be dictating who should vote for whom in a country that seems to have found democracy so many years ago now?
Look, my own views is that when we look at the events, particularly at the beginning of the year, starting with the Penny Sparrow incident, yes. I think there was a Van Vuuren guy and quite a number of others, and we saw another lady today, I think, appearing in the Randburg Magistrate Court.
Yes, there has been quite a number.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what does that tell us? I think it maybe it's at that point where we need to be asking ourselves a question as a country that have we really moved away from a non-racial or from racial blocks and definitions? Are we really non-racial, or is there still a lot more work that needs to be done to achieve a truly non-racial society? And I would maybe take a little bit more serious look. I would not just think that, look, this is politicking, but to say, should we really be maybe as a country be looking a little bit more deeper into this? Because on the one hand, you've got those cases whereby there were blatant instances of racism, which should be condemned, and stern action should be taken in all accounts. But at the same time, institutionally, the various institutions, both in corporate sector, in politics, are they actually non-racial?
Right,
well, I mean, I look at it from the point of view that...
In the political arena, like you just mentioned, Mr. Khadima, very close to poll season, actually in poll season, very close to actually casting our votes. Was it a desperate attempt by the president playing the race card, do you think? Do they need to be even being desperate?
Look, I mean, I'm hoping to get an opportunity to look at that clip in terms of what he said. But from what I'm understanding, what was said was, questioning whether would a black African or blacks, which would include Indian, colored, and Africans, should they be voting for a party such as the DA, taking into account its past? I think the bigger question for me would be saying, are we truly a non-racial country, or is this perhaps maybe a call for a bigger question that needs to be answered? And that question needs to go beyond just the politicking, needs to go beyond just the time of election, but is to say, what will this society be like in the next 10, 20 years? And are there things that we need to be doing? And perhaps the presidency, and in this case, at Luthuli House, Mr. Zizi Godwa would do well. I would imagine that he should have been in that audience last night when the president was speaking. And most certainly, I would expect him to maybe clarify, if there's a need for clarity, and tell the nation what the president actually meant. And maybe, for me, I am observing that the silence from the time that that statement was set up till
to
now,
now,
where we haven't
is
did
actually a
anything
very
from
huge
Luthuli House,
statement.
for me that is a worry. I think that they needed to actually come up and say, in terms of the African National Congress, this is what the president was saying, or this is, if it is contestation of ideas, if it is maybe what I'm maybe suspecting it is, that are we really a non-racial country? Should it be the things that we're doing? They would be best in answering that question. But certainly, politicking, we've seen people say interesting things during campaign time.
Absolutely.
And South Africa is no different, by the way. We see what's happening in the United States now. In fact, ANN7 is playing a promo on Donald Trump talking about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
Say
so a
that
very
she is not a
interesting show,
good
that
president,
Race to
she'll
the
be a
White
poor
House.
president and
Yes.
all of that. I guess, politicking or campaign time. We've seen Bernie Sanders now endorse Hillary Clinton, who for months had said that Hillary Clinton would not be a good Democratic Party
Yes, long overdue.
candidate.
I'm just
So
curious
South Africa
to
maybe itself is sitting in the same
to understand
space.
from Mr. Govender, do you think there are racial undertones there from the president with that statement, or do you think that's an inconvenient truth from our past?
Well, firstly, with the race card, it looks like a sign of desperation. I mean, we just a few weeks left for voting for people to go into the votes. Now, it looks like, a desperation for once. And race card for me, it's been 22 years, democracy. Let the people decide. Let the people decide on how or which party will offer you to move forward. As the African Christian Democratic Party, if you got to look at our manifesto is right here. You can even get it on the website, acdp.org.za. Have a look at it and just read. And I would say to the people of South Africa, you all decide based on reading our ACDP.
Right, and we'll come back to
manifesto.
the key components of your manifesto as well. We have to move on to other stories. In the Free State now, the Naledi local municipality will merge with the Mangaung Municipality Metro. This will happen after the August elections. The merger is expected to improve services and economic activity in the area.
These are the last few days for the Naledi local municipality, but there's still no consensus about the move to Mangaung Metropolitan in August.
I'm not happy with the measure, with this demarcation of Naledi municipality into Mangaung. One, because most of our people, almost 90% of our people, they are working for CWP. They are in less than 600 rands. And in Wepener, Develop and Van Statens race, people have to travel a long distance just to get to the clinics, to the hospitals.
But the DA says the move will benefit residents and improve service delivery.
The merger with Mangaung Metro on the level seems to be all right, but there are a lot of hitches. The first thing is, in the smaller towns, people don't, salaries aren't as high as they are in the city. So I'm only hoping that the tariffs will suit the people's pockets down our part of the world, because a lot of people are from the farms, and we hope that the tariffs will be adjusted according to the income of the people down this part.
The Naledi municipality says the decision to merge with Mangaung Metropolitan was not taken alone. It was endorsed by an extensive process of public participation.
We did a broad public participation meetings in all three towns. Now, the mood of our own people were positive. All of our community, they were saying, we are moving Naledi to Mangaung.
Residents say they are looking forward to better services as well as solutions to the high unemployment.
As a resident of Develop within Naledi, we are happy with the measure on the basis that we are going to receive more services within Mangaung. We are going to see more job creation being available for the residents.
As community of Naledi, we are happy about that decision taken by demarcation and also the government of South Africa to join into Naledi to Mangaung. Now, compared to the service delivery, in fact, the municipality will still give into service delivery, but the service delivery was not so big to the community, but we will enjoy to join the Mangaung.
The ruling party in Deurstop said there are no two ways over the demarcation board decision to merge Naledi local municipality into the Mangaung Metro, adding that this was a strategic move with the people's great interest at heart, ensuring the improvement of service delivery in the area. Although some political parties are discontent over the proposed merger, the decision stands as the municipality held its last full council meeting at the local municipality earlier today. For ANN7, I am Lungani Mnguni, Deorsdorp in the Free State.
The Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor, Danny Jordaan, was on a charm offensive in Uitenhage, where he gave out title deeds together with the Minister of Human Settlements, Lindiwe Sisulu. The Metro aims to give out 2,000 title deeds to residents this year.
It was an emotional day for residents of Uitenhage when Nelson Mandela Bay Mayor Danny Jordaan and Human Settlements Minister Lindiwe Sisulu handed out title deeds. The program is part of the municipality's plan to distribute 2,000 title deeds to residents this year.
Where we had land because we were born here, we lived here, this is where they found us, and now we have to find a way of giving back our land. So when we build a house, we give also the land back. We are now giving back some land, restoring dignity by providing shelter.
Before we hand over the title deeds, there's a verification process. And so you'll see that we are going to hand over 7,000 title deeds. We are now at 2,600 title deeds ready to be handed over.
The minister urged recipients to not sell their homes but keep them to explore their economic options available through ownership.
It's an unfortunate situation that we had to wait so long to be able to give them title deeds. But we learn with every year in government what we can do better. We've had a discussion with them now to emphasize the importance of having a title deed and keeping that title deed, because nobody could ever take away their right to that particular property while they have a title deed. It's a good day, it's a good feeling, and it's a good day for us.
But for now, the residents are happy that their dignity has been restored through property ownership.
Oh, we are so happy. We've been staying in that house for 41 years and we never had a title deed, and today we've got our title deed.
Today, dignity was restored to people of Uitenhage under the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality. The executive mayor of the Metro has emphasized that this process of handing over title deeds will assist the municipality to identify the rightful owners of the RDP houses, and invaders will definitely be evicted. The Metro has issued 4,000 title deeds thus far. Nomusa Pungula, Uitenhage, SA decides.
And our reporter Nomusa Pungula is still live from Port Elizabeth. Very good evening to you, Nomusa. Thank you for joining us. How much of an issue is housing for the residents in Uitenhage?
Well, good evening, Audrey, and good evening to our viewers at home. Housing is quite a challenge here at Uitenhage, but not only Uitenhage only, but in the Metro as a whole, due to migration of people to the Metro, because the mayor mentioned that people do not announce when they migrate to the Metro, but when they need service delivery, only then you notice that there are people that have migrated to the area. So yes, it has been a challenge, and then the Metro has been trying to make sure that everyone that lives under the Metro is having proper housing, proper water, sanitation, as well as electricity. But as well, Audrey, there are some places that still waiting for proper housing. For example, there is a place called Terryvale, which we went to earlier on just to see, just to get another feel of a different place from the one that has many RDP houses. Those people have been staying there for 21 years. They do have RDP houses. That's the sad part. They do have title deeds rather, but those title deeds are for shacks. They were promised brick houses, but then they were given shacks. Till today, they are waiting for an answer to know why they were given shacks instead of brick houses. Back to you, Audrey.
Nomusa, of course, we can't ignore the fact that the polls are just a few days away, a couple of weeks actually. How much of today's event was about electioneering?
Well, Audrey, as much as the dignitaries emphasized that today was not about electioneering, but what we saw in the hall was quite overwhelming when some of the ANC members were holding Danny Jordaan's poster so that everyone could see that he is a mayoral candidate for the ANC within the Metro. But also, Audrey, they mentioned that they are doing this because they need to finish the work that they have started just before their term of office ends, because no one is sure who is going to win. As much as they are confident agreement, but they are not sure. Only the 3rd of August will determine who is going to rule this metro. Back to you, Audrey.
Well, it's time to come back to the studio. My political analyst is still here with me, also a member of the ACDP Youth Foundation, Mr. Alvin Govinda. I'm curious to hear from you, Mr. Govinda, as a politician. Do you think the timing of these title deeds being handed out is a bit suspicious since we're approaching the polls in just a couple of weeks' time?
Most definitely.
Of course, you would say that.
Obviously, yeah. But if you look at it, these houses were long overdue for these residents. Why was not it done? Why was not it handed out sooner? What was the delay for? Because if you really look at it, during election time, approaching election, roads are painted. And if you look at it, maybe 4 years the roads was not painted, for example. You suddenly just wake up one morning and you see, hey, it's bright. But then after the votes have been casted and stuff, and then the municipality is won, or that specific ward is won, you hear nothing of them.
Right.
So I would say, you know what, it is a bit suspicious.
What does your manifesto say with regards to some of the important issues we've discussed so far, service delivery and housing?
Service delivery is an ongoing issue. Firstly, when it comes to, if, for example, a municipality is won by ACDP, which I trust in God we will win a municipality, we put the right people in the right positions. We have our financials opened. We have like an open audit. Why cannot we have an annual general meeting and show the community, show the residents what our financial looks like, where the money is being spent? Because I don't like, or the ACDP doesn't like the concept of over-promising and under-delivering. You know what, if we can do something, we will do it. We wouldn't come approaching election time and say, you know what, we're going to promise you houses, put painting numbers on your shacks, for example, and say, you know, this is your number, you're going to get a house after. That's buying. So 2,000 title deeds equal 2,000 votes. I think you're actually buying the votes in that strategy. So I'm actually just quite adamant to see what are the strategies are they going to use in the sense of buying, because this is like an indirect buying. But I'm actually grateful for the guys who did have the houses. I'm actually quite, they're going to actually sleep with a title deed and say, this is mine.
Okay, so we can be happy for them.
That part I'm very happy about.
Mr. Hatiba, the issue of land and housing is closely tied together. Willing seller and a willing buyer, it appears most of the people with the land are not willing to actually sell this land so we can have an equal division of this land in South Africa. How do we get around this issue? Politicians, rather, how would they be able to cut across this contentious issue?
Yeah, look, I've been on record before to say actually land is the most important thing. Without land, in fact, nothing happens. You cannot build a school, you cannot build a house, you can't build a road, there's nothing that you cannot build a factory, create jobs, you cannot farm. You can't do anything. Land is everything. South Africa has to answer the question of land and ensuring that that land is equitably distributed or made available to the people that need it. And certainly housing. We see that South Africa is, in fact, one of the most urbanized countries in the world. And that with it comes pressures of ensuring that you provide housing. And we have more people certainly than we did in 1994. And in 1994, we had a backlog already in terms of housing. So the issues of housing and the demand of resources, a key one being land, is going to be with us for a while. It's not going to be resolved in this election or in the national elections in 2019. So I think South Africans need to be prepared to be with it for a long time. The other issue that I want to cover is that, well, is this opportunistic? Look, this is the art of politics. That Mayor Danny Jordaan, who's also a mayoral candidate going forward, would be going about and doing his job. But that is sometimes the privilege and the benefit of incumbency. When you look at what the DA is saying and doing in Western Cape, they equally are using what? Their privilege of incumbency. Where they are already governing, they are doing those things that they can show that they keep their position. That is to be expected of politicians.
It's the art of war.
It's the art of war. In fact, it reminds me, I was one time in a taxi in London, and we're driving, and I was commenting to the taxi driver that, oh, I'm seeing that there were trenches everywhere else. I said, this city, it means it's being rebuilt and a lot of things happening. And the taxi driver, without even batting an eyelid, says, no, don't think too much about it. It is towards the budget time, the end of the budget. So every year before the budget end cycle, they would then dig trenches everywhere else so that they spend the money so that they get more money. So certainly,
it appears as if some work is being done.
And I'm wondering, How would it be if we had elections every year? We would see service delivery much more than what we are seeing, because now, before elections, you see a lot of activity, and then for the next 3 years thereafter, very little happens until the next election. But if it's every year, I guess then we would have the politicians.
We will see them every 5 years when it's time to go to the polls.